am locked in a prison cell. After leaving the Flight 93 National Memorial, I ran into a local celebrity. There's an elephant named Jackson. I'm not sure what that's all about. We'll have to look that up. Jackson is a famous American bull elephant who lives at the Pittsburgh Zoo and Aquarium's International Conservation Center near Somerset, Pennsylvania. Born in 1976, Jackson spent part of his early life in the circus before joining the Pittsburgh Zoo in 1994. He became one of the world's most successful elephant fathers, helping to contribute to the conservation of African elephants through a breeding program. A life-size statue of Jackson sits in Somerset's Eaton Park parking lot, celebrating both Jackson and Somerset County's unique role in elephant conservation. This is just like home. Construction and everything's tore up. I feel at peace. I feel like I'm at home. What is this big long pipe? I guess it goes to a plant. Interesting. Very, very interesting. West Virginia. I didn't realize this is the hometown of Brad Paisley. I didn't know he was from West Virginia. Did you? Let me know. Looks like a pretty area though. Look at those houses. If you guessed I was going to another prison, you'd be right. West Virginia Penitentiary is located in Moundsville, West Virginia. The city of Moundsville was named for the ancient Grave Creek Mound, constructed more than 2,000 years ago by indigenous people of the Adena culture. The mound sits directly across the street from the prison. Here's a fun fact. Lady Gaga's mother, Cynthia Louise Bissett, was raised in Moundsville. Lady Gaga spent much of her childhood visiting her grandparents in West Virginia. The prison opened its doors in 1866 and closed in 1995. Several movies and series have been filmed here, and I will tell you more about that later. Capital criminals were hanged here 1889 to 1950, and the electric chair was used until the death penalty was abolished in West Virginia in 1965. 9 murderers died here in Old Sparky.
So you are sitting exactly where the inmates used to sit.
Cool.
Visitors would come through the same front door that you just came through. They would be quickly pat down. Searches happened accordingly. Those 3 buttons right there is what powered Old Sparky. Now, only one of those buttons were live, though. The warden would bring an electrician the night before an electrocution, and he would live wire one of those buttons. And only the electrician knew which button was live. Completely gone. The little cabin hall behind me is gone, and the little white building in the corner is completely gone. 200 feet down, this used to be the old dining hall. It was big enough to feed 300 men at a time. Farther north, that would be the old kitchen. Now, the conditions in there were absolutely awful. 16 hostages, 15 guards, and 1 inmate. They also brutally killed 3 other inmates because those inmates were known as informants, rats, or snitches. We've also had people try to recreate that picture, and no one ever could. Also, you have to realize that all the lights were off. So what shadow is gonna happen?
Black on black can't create a
there's
shadow.
There's gonna be like no shadow if it's completely pitch black in there. All right, so this is the new cafeteria. This is what they got out of the ride of '86. It took $3 million to build, and it was finished being built in March of 1987. Now, the conditions and the food in here were a lot better. They had hamburgers, hot dogs, turkey on Thanksgiving, ham on Easter. A lot better, in my opinion, than cockroach mashed potatoes.
The prisoner that painted this truck murdered his wife, and then he put her name on the truck, Sandy. That's a very odd tribute.
That is because those 4 worst to be worst. They were the 4 top highest ranking members of the Aryan Brotherhood. The first cell all the way down there was home to the leader, and his name was William Snyder, and he went by Red. About 2 cell doors down in the other white cell, that was home to a man named Russell Lassiter, and he went by Rusty. Well, Red and Rusty were the only 2 men in those 4 cells that were allowed to go outside for their 1 hour of recreation time together because they were known to play nice.
The classic thriller Fool's Parade, starring James Stewart and Kurt Russell, heavily featured the grounds at West Virginia Penitentiary. The 2013 film Out of the Furnace, this gritty crime drama starred Christian Bale and used the prison's yard and interior spaces as primary filming locations. The facility also served as a backdrop for several notable television projects, including Netflix's Mindhunter and Hulu's Castle Rock. Let me know if you would ever wander around a haunted prison by yourself. Technically, I don't think I was really alone. There's a lot of unknown voices and almost grumbling while I'm walking around this section, so I don't know if the former inmates were upset that I was in here or they were just upset I was a woman walking around in their home. I'm not sure. Very artistic. Bird's nest. If you're enjoying this look around the prison, make sure you come back next time. You won't believe where we're headed next. This is where they pass their food trays. I am locked in a prison cell.
All right, you ready to be let out?
Sure. Thanks for letting me out. I'm glad they work. prisoners had a mascot. They were the Cougars, and they used to actually play against exhibition games against the Moundsville High School baseball team, which I think is kind of funny. I bet that made the high school team even better against their other opponents. If you're in West Virginia, come do a prison tour. I got paroled. I'm out. Until next time. Bye for now.